Hi, I'm standing in front of books today because I'm going to talk about books. I thought I could stand in front of the TV, stand in front of the porch, stand in front of the dogs or the donkeys or the goats or the kids or what have you. But since it's book talk, I'm going to stand in front of the books. I've had a lot of people over the last few months inquire about. They say, "Show me what you got on the shelf." In one way or another, they want to see what books I've got. So I figured I'd start somewhere, not at the beginning, and show you what I got for Robert McCammon. Well, because I got a couple of shelves of McCammon, I figured I could get through that in without spending all day doing it. And then I'll do some other videos, perhaps, depending on how this goes, with some of the other things I've got. But here's a good way for me to start. McCammon is bad to the bone. I don't know if he drinks or if he drinks alone, but he's still bad to the bone. I didn't start reading McCammon until 2020, so I'm new to the party. And the first McCammon book that I read was Swan. It was highly recommended. People said, if you want to read McCammon, almost everybody would say Swan Song or Boy's Life. Swan Song or Boy's Life. So flipped the coin and picked Swan Song. And I must admit, there was a point getting into Swan Song when I almost gave up the ghost. I almost didn't do it. It got to a point in that book where I couldn't see any positive outcomes coming out of this thing at all. It seemed too hopeless, too bad. I was having some trouble figuring out why some of these characters were in the book, and I almost gave it up, but I persevered, and thank God I did, because it turned out to be a doozy. Not only could I not imagine a way for this story to end in any acceptable manner at all, but I couldn't even possibly think of how positive could come out of this. But without giving away spoilers and all that, I recommend Swan Song. A lot of people compare it to The Stand, and I can see exactly why. I'll tell you this, when I read The Stand, I started off with a bang, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And as the book progressed, I thought it wasn't as great. It would go downhill a little as it went. I liked the book. I loved the book, but it kind of got worse as it went for me. Whereas Swan Song didn't start off that great for me, but as it went, it got better and better, and I really got entrenched in some of the different story arcs going on. And then I was able to get a vision of how these parties, these groups were going to meet at some point, and I wanted to see how that was going to work. And I didn't see how it could turn out well, but it's a very good ending. Robert McCammon can stick the finish, faux show. Anyway, after Swan Song, I read Speaks the Nightbird. He's got a series that starts with Speaks the Nightbird, and it's completely different. It's not horror. It's nothing like what McCammon had been writing before. We're talking about 1700 colonial folks and a quasi-detective or a quasi-investigator, a guy, Sherlock Holmes type of mind that always has to find something to solve and always seems to get himself in trouble. But anyway, that's a good series. And then anyway, going on from there, let's take a look and see what I got on the shelf. I organize my books by publishing order, and then when it comes to series, I put the series together so it gets kind of jacked up, jack-wangled, and then sometimes I'll organize books by sticking stuff where it fits. And that's what's kind of happened up here. I've got some soft covers shoved in holes. And I talked about Swan Song to begin with, so we'll start later and then work our way back to the beginning because it's in the way. Swan Song, the first edition, first print paperback. That's how this book showed up in the United States. And it's a fat paperback book, and this one's in good shape. I can't remember if I got a signed copy or not. I do not. It's not signed. Anybody want to give me Robert McCammon's address? I'll stop by next time I'm up in Fort Payne and get him to sign some books. So there's that one. Now, another paperback copy of Swan Song. I got this one. It's a UK version. I love the cover, so I wanted it. And it's got a little plastic cover that's over the paperback cover. I don't know if that's how it came or not. That one is Sphere UK paperback version. Another big thick book, because it's a big thick book. Let's get rid of these paperbacks and then we'll move on. The Wolf's Hour. This one is a popular McCammon book, and it's pretty hard to come by in hardcover. I really don't know why the hardcover versions are so expensive compared to some of the others, but anyway, here's the first print, first edition paperback hardcover. And when I say first print, first edition, I'm sure you all know a whole lot more about books than I do, but sometimes you get an indication on the page there with a number line, and if that number line goes all the way down to 0, that would indicate first print. The problem is you might have a number line going all the way down to 0 that's a first print for a book that's not truly the first edition of that book. And we'll see some examples of that quite often. But that's that. First print, first edition. You might have a first edition book and they make so many copies. They sell every copy and there's more demand, so they go back to print. They don't really change anything in the book, perhaps, but the second print is going to have a different number line. It'll go down to 2 usually instead of down to 1 or 0. So what I got up here next is the first of the McCammons, and I don't have any versions of this book, Ball, except for these. And this is the Subterranean Press signed and limited editions. There was 2 different Subterranean Press signed limited editions released. This one would be, I don't know how you'd call it, the regular. It's numbered, signed and numbered to 1,000 by Subterranean Press. There's our cover and blank on the back. Can you see yourself now? So that's one of them. And then the other one is I guess you'd say the deluxe version. It's got a different dust jacket, and some things about the book are different, but one thing you notice right off the bat, it comes with a slipcase. Now let's see if I can get it out of that slipcase. You notice I cover all of my hardcovers in this Brodart type dust jacket protector. Helps to keep my dust jackets protected. But right off the bat, we see fancy artwork on our end papers. The outer cover of the book is a different material. It's a slick, glossier finish as opposed to the more of the cloth-covered boards that you would have on most Subterranean Press trade editions. The limitation page, this one is signed and numbered also, like the other one. But this one's limited to 224 numbered editions, of which this is 174. There is artwork in this book, and since I got a bunch of books to get to, and I got other things I want to do, I'm not going to sit here flipping around looking for all of them. But this one here, worthwhile, I'd say, in my mind. I like that picture. Let's see if I can find one more out of this before we move on. I can see the ends, but I can't seem to get to them. What's going on here? Hey, how you doing? Pictures, where are you? I might have to give up on this. I don't want to spend all day looking for pictures in a book. Let's quit. That's Ball. That's what I got for Ball. I don't have any of the other editions, just the 2 Sub Press limiteds that I showed you here. The next one I got, early Robert McCammon, Bethany's Sin. This also Subterranean Press, limited edition hardcover. I love the artwork on this one. It wraps all the way around. We don't have a slipcase, but we got some nice artwork on the end papers. It's hard to see in all this light. Who's a light man? I need a light man over here to, man, that looks cool. That's some good looking pictures. Picture right there. I dig it, man. This one is signed and numbered to 750. You can see our limitations there. And I don't see any artwork throughout in this one, at least by looking at the page ends. There might be something in here that I just am missing, that's all. Might be missing something. The Night Boat. Again, we're looking at early McCammon. I'm just going down the list. Chronologically, I don't have them all. I've got the world's most medium Robert McCammon collection. I got a lot of them, but I don't got a lot. I don't got them all. And I don't know if I want to make shelf room for everything that he's got, every version of every book. But at some point, I intend to have the good ones, the limited editions, the first print. He's got some UK hardcover stuff that I still want. This one's limited to $7.50, and there is an image that I quickly found in here. Cool artwork, and it looks good. So that's Night Boat. Now we're getting into They Thirst. Some more. This one is our UK first print hardcover. This was, I believe, the first hardcover version of this book from a publisher called Kennel. I'll say Kennel. You say whatever you want to say. This one is signed by the author. It's not a limited edition. They call that flat signed, where the author opens up the book, or somebody holds the book out and the author signs it. Best place to get it signed, that's the right place for it to be signed, is on the title page. Although I'd rather have a signature on any old page you want besides no signature. But if you're going to get a book signed, that's where you get it signed, on the title page, just like a baseball. You're going to get a baseball player to sign a baseball, you get him to sign it on the sweet spot. On the book, you get him to sign it on the title page. This is, I think, the first Robert McCammon book I ever bought. And I'm a collector and a lover of this publisher right here. Can anybody say that? Can you say that with me? Dark Harvest. I'm a big fan. I love the publisher. They hold a sweet spot in my heart for me. And this one here is signed and numbered, and you'll just have to take my word for it, because it ain't coming out too easy once I put my Brodart protector on. And I'm not going to fiddle and fart and fumble with it to open it up for you. Dark Harvest books I like. They typically don't put a bunch of art. They didn't. They're now defunct, but they didn't put a lot of pictures and artwork and stuff in there. But they were early limited edition books. Slipcased. The lettered editions came in big wooden crates, and they're terrific. Now here's a newer version, limited edition version of that book, They Thirst, from... We're getting a lot of these, Subterranean Press. As you can probably tell, Subterranean Press did a lot of... They went back in time and published a lot of McCammon books in limited edition forms in different manners. Some slipcased, some not. This one is not slipcased. It is. It's got the more economically priced covers for the board, or economically priced material. Some sort of a fabric. Typically with sub press, you'll see a couple different variations, and this would be the cheaper version of it. This one's limited to 1,000, and number 739, signed by Mr. McCammon. It looks like there's a picture in here. Let's see if I can find it. At least one picture in this book. And there she blows. There she goes. Make some headway. Here we go, Mystery Walk. There is, to my knowledge, no limited edition version of this book yet. Hopefully somebody, SST, will remedy that, or somebody else will remedy that for us. But as it stands, Mystery Walk is, you got the trade edition hardcover, and you got a paperback, a few different versions, variations of the paperback. This one will be a first print. See our number line up. Oops, I didn't mean to flip you off. You see our number line in there. And this one, see if I can find it. I can't remember if this one's signed or not. Signed is better, and this one's signed on the correct page again. So there's our signature on the correct page. So this would be a first edition, first print, trade edition hardcover of Mystery Walk. Hopefully one day we'll have us a limited edition that's too sweet from somebody. Here we got Usher's Passing, Cemetery Dance. This one has recently been published by Cemetery Dance, recently been shipped some point, I think it was early 2020, 2021, I think this one was shipped. But up until then, it was in the same boat as Mystery Walk. No limited edition version of it. And Cemetery Dance now is currently, as far as I know, doing McCammon limited editions as well as SST publications out of the United Kingdom. But here's our cover for Usher's passing. If you can see that. Dang. Find a picture of it. Nice cover. Very nice cover. See her without the dust jacket. Here's what you get if you care. This one is a signed limited edition. And here's our signature page, limited to 750 copies. And this one has a lot of artwork in it. Again, it's not always easy to find the artwork when you're looking for it. So I'll flip through and grab a few, and then we'll move on. A lot of pictures in this book. So it's good. It's good to see that we have an author that is interested in getting his catalog out in a nicer, finer version than a typical hardcover or paperback version. Because I'm a book collector, and there's a lot of book collectors out there. You love a book, you love the story. It's nice to have a very nice version of that book that you love on the shelf to have and to leer at and to know you got and all that kind of stuff. Everybody's got their own motivations. Man, that's good. Everybody's got their own motivations for why they collect things. But a lot of it, if something looks good and is really nice, no matter what your motivations are, that's a good thing. That's a positive. Swan Song. I've got worked myself into a corner here because the books are too tall to slide out. So we'll finagle them. We'll fiddle and fart around until I can get these books out and show you what I got. So this Swan Song I talked about a little bit, and I showed you some softcover versions of it. This is the first hardcover version of Swan Song by Dark Harvest. And Dark Harvest had a trade hardcover edition, which looked exactly like this, except it didn't have a signature page or a slipcase. And then they had this signed and limited edition here. As you can see on the shelf, it's an oversized book, tall. And the book itself in this format is 608 pages, small for a hardcover, very small typeset. And that's why it's not nearly as thick as you would think it would be. So this version of this book is signed by Robert McCammon and Charles Chang, and it's number 78 of 650 copies. But that's the first hardcover version of this book. One of McCammon's most favorite and most popular books, Swan Song. And the other one is Tall and Fat. This is the same book, published years later by Subterranean Press. One of the great publishers out there. Subterranean Press just makes nice stuff. Signed and limited, their trades, they're all nice. Great artwork, good quality books. Typically, they don't always do it, but they'll typically, especially on their nicer versions, they'll have some great artwork throughout the books. But they have a large variety. They'll have cheap releases, and then they'll have fancy, high-quality releases with all the bells and whistles. This one is number 126 of 500 numbered copies. And you see there it is signed by the publisher, or by the author. And it's got the rougher cloth-covered book cover there. See if I can pick out a couple pictures real quick for those of you who are still watching. Any of you still watching, I might be able to find a picture or two to show you. Check this out. If you read the story, you'll get the reference. Nice. Really good artwork in this book. Hopefully I can find another picture or two to show you before I got to go. Here's we don't want to mess with that. It's got a fold out in it that I'm not going to fiddle and fart with. It's got a fold out picture. I don't want to mess anything up. just for this video. It isn't that important to me to show off stuff to mess something up like this. These books go as high as, I've seen them sell for over $500 for this version of this book. I didn't pay that much, but again, if you read this book, you'll know what's going on here. But man, it sure looks good. One day I probably ought to just take the time and show everything going on in this version of this book, because it's too sweet. While the Dark Harvest version of it is my sentimental favorite because it's the first hardcover. I love Dark Harvest, and it's a lot older. If you're going to say which one's nicer, the Subterranean Press version is definitely nicer. More nice. It's got more niceness going on. Head and Shoulders. Next up, I got to show you what I got is called Stinger. Stinger, this is the pocket edition, and this one is a book club edition. The book club edition was the first hardcover version of this book, and it features that phenomenal artwork that Pocket put on their soft covers, which came first. First released in softcover, but I just love this artwork, and this is this is the book club edition. Very, very, very nothing special to it, but I love the artwork. There's no number line, no nothing like that. It's a book club edition. It wasn't really sold in stores. You won't see any price on the dust jacket. In fact, it says book club edition. So that's what that is. I got it because I got it for just a few bucks. I love the dust jacket artwork on it, and it's the first hardcover, so why not get it? Now, this hardcover came very, very, like right in there, right just after this one did. This is the UK hardcover version of Stinger from Kinnell, Kinnell. What's that spell? Kinnell in my vocabulary. And this one is signed on the right page, the title page, signed by Robert McCammon. Good picture. I love the Kinnell books because they're basic. I like a lot of black with a cool looking image on them. There's some that I really want that I don't have, like Night Boat, for instance. Great cover artwork on there. I want that one. But it's a trade version of from the UK. Later on, Sub Press again, same publisher we've been talking about a lot, did a signed and limited version of Stinger, and that artwork's cool too. Very awesome looking picture on the front. It's got that cloth covered boards. No artwork on the end papers. Signed and limited to 1,000. So it's a limited edition, but for Sub Press, it's their basic version of their limited editions. They've got different tiers and different sub tiers on the tiers. So you might have some with smaller limitations that are bare bones, and then you might have some with higher limitations that have a lot of extra stuff. It's not always predictable. It's a business. The guy that owns it does the things the way he wants to do the things, and that's how it works. Really cool looking picture there. Stinger. Next up, I got a collection of short stories called Blue World, and this one is Subterranean Press. Excellent cover art. Many people say this is their favorite because of the cover art. Their favorite cover art type book, whatever, of McCammon's, because the picture on the front looks so doggone cool. This one is signed and numbered to 1,000. This one's number 992. I slid in out under the door just like Indiana Jones, trying to escape with his golden gimmick that he found somewhere, and the sand didn't work. Blue World, a collection of short stories. Very excellent work. Very excellent. This is a trade hardcover version of mine, and I bought this book just to read it. It was a few bucks I paid for it. I bought it just to read it in the mail, and when I got it in, I also had found a paperback version, and this one was almost good enough to keep. It wasn't perfect, but I figured, hey, I don't have any other versions of mine except for Ratty Reader's copy, but it's a first print hardcover edition from Pocket Books. So I said, what the heck, put it on the shelf. It'll hold a place until I get me a signed copy, and hopefully one day I'll be able to somebody will print a limited edition copy of that. Now, when it comes to Robert McCammon, you ask around, or McCammon fans, which one should I get first? They're going to say 40% of the people are going to say Swan Song, 42% of the people are going to say Boy's Life, and then the whatever's left is going to give you all sorts of different options. But Boy's Life is another one that gets compared to Stephen King and Stephen King's Stand By Me. But Boy's Life is a story that addresses a similar age group and maybe some similar themes as well. A different story, but I can see why people compare the two. This is our first print hardcover, so this is a trade edition from Pocket Books. It is, I'll show you the signature page, signed by McCammon on the correct page. And indeed, a first print. You see our number line there. Goes all the way down to 1. So there's Boy's Life. Let's get this out of the way. Because our limited edition version is big, 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 we got to make more room. Why don't they make shelves just right for the books? If there's one thing I can't stand, it's having to jump through hoops to get my books off of my shelves. That's even worse than an unlocked Foot Locker, in my opinion, if you catch my drift. So Subterranean Press, this one is a slip-cased version of Boy's Life. And the artwork, they put a lot of effort. See if I can get some good representation. Man, they put a lot of effort into the dust jacket artwork. There is so much going on in there. And then there's the back of our book. The artwork is terrific. Let's see our limitation, or our signature page. This one is limited to 474 numbered copies and autographed by the author. And there's there are a lot of pictures in this book. Let's see if I can find you a couple to show off before we move on, because they are sweet. Too sweet. Pointing the wrong finger at the wrong person. There's one example of what we're talking about when we talk about stuff being sweet. And here's another one. You got a little bit blurry, cars moving by, so that's going to happen. It's almost like photography. These are easy to find. Man, if they were all this easy to find, things would be nice. Stiff. The image of the artwork pages are very stiff on this book, so they're easy to get to. And this is an important one. Like I said, this may be the most popular Robert McCammon book out there to date. To date, we don't want to say it's the best one he'll ever make, but the most popular one he'll ever make. But to date, this is the one. And this is a book that's had some heat. Certain school boards have tried to pull it or have pulled it. And so Mr. McCammon has done a lot of meetings with school boards all over the country to explain to them why this book is not something that's bad for children, or why it's good for children. Just in a nutshell, he talked about how he clearly defines who's good in his stories and who's bad. He doesn't have the good guys doing bad things like cursing or things like that. The people that are cursing in his books, that are saying the bad words that are upsetting some of the people, those people that are doing the cursing are the bad guys. Anyway, so you can pull up some videos on YouTube of him attending some of these school board meetings and making some explanations, and this tends to be the book that's a hot topic on those. And this one here is the 5. This is the Subterranean Press, but it's a trade hardcover. It is signed, flat signed by the author on the title page. This one I bought on eBay for $30, and when I got it in the mail, it was beat all to heck. This is supposed to be new condition, brand new. It was beat all to heck. There was some stuff I couldn't stand, so I gave the seller negative feedback, and complained a little bit, and the seller apologized and gave me a refund, and I offered to send him his book back. The corners were beat up on it too. Offered to send the seller his book back, and he said, nah, keep it. So he I retracted the negative feedback and squared it away there. But it's a placeholder for me until I can get a better version of that book. Hey, what's with this selfie crap here? This video has gone very, very long, so I've decided to bust it up, break it up into 2 different parts. So this is going to be the end of part number 1. If you're interested, if you got nothing better to do, check out part number 2, and we'll get to the rest of the stuff. Anyway, c'est la vie, baby. Like and subscribe. If you dig it, say so. Thank you. I appreciate it.